A very warm good morning to all of you. Dear students, once again, I would like to welcome all of you to a new session of the Civics class. Today, we are going to continue with the same chapter, chapter number 4, the Supreme Court, part 11. Do you remember what we were discussing in the previous class? In the previous class, we were discussing about judicial review. What is meant by judicial review? The Supreme Court is the authorized authority to interpret the constitution, and that's why they have the power to review laws which are passed by the unions or the state legislature. That's what is meant by judicial review. I think you have revised and learned this topic very well, and today we are going to discuss about court of record. What is meant by court of record? What are the other important points related to court of record? That's what we are going to discuss in today's class. So without wasting time, let's move to the class. Judgments are recorded for evidence and testimony. When we were discussing in one of the previous classes of our civics, we have studied a point that is a revisory jurisdiction. I hope you might be remembering about it. So, the Supreme Court has the power to review any judgment or order made by it with a view to remove any mistake or error that might have crept in the judgment or order. So as we have already seen, Supreme Court has got all the power to review a judgment made by itself. And if the Supreme Court has to review a judgment, first of all, it must be recorded. So, all the judgments will be recorded for evidence and testimony. The main reason behind this recording, it is for revising the judgment of the Supreme Court, as well as it can be used by other subordinate courts. Judgment nature, or the nature of the judgment, is precedence. Okay, that's what's the speciality of the judgments of the Supreme Court. What is meant by precedence? Which means bound to give a similar decision in a similar case. Suppose, just imagine, two people committed the same crime, and how the court system can give two different punishment to a crime committed by two different persons. So practically it is not possible. If two people have done the same mistake, then the constitution as well as the Supreme Court or the judiciary system must give similar punishment to both the people. That's what is meant by precedence, which means bound to give a similar decision in similar case. And such judgments must not be questioned, because in one another meaning is there. They are not to be questioned when they are produced before any subordinate court. Suppose a person did a crime and the Supreme Court punished that person for 5 years imprisonment. After 5 years, if one another person is punishing or committed the same mistake, how that person can punish you for 10 years? It's practically not possible, because that judgment will be questioned. That's why the Supreme Court says that if one person or if two persons committed the same crime, similar decision or similar punishment must be given to both the persons. They are not to be questioned when they are produced before any subordinate court. The Supreme Court is court of record, have all the powers of such a court, including the power to punish for contempt of itself. So that's why all the activities, all the judgments, all the testimonies, everything, evidence and everything will be recorded, and it will be used as a reference by the subordinate courts. That's why the revisory jurisdiction is very active in the case of Supreme Court. They will be revising the judgments or order made by the Supreme Court in order to avoid if there is any mistakes, because if there is a mistake, it will be questioned. So the power of the Supreme Court must not be questioned. In order to avoid that, everything will be recorded, and revisory jurisdiction will be always active in our judiciary system. The court of record has two implications, two different realms are there. First one, its judgments and orders are preserved as record. These can be produced in any court or precedents. We have already seen what is meant by precedents. In similar cases, same punishment must be given. So, the judgment of Supreme Court is being considered as a very important factor, and it will be preserved as record. So, whenever the subordinate court, when they are in need of some reference to such cases or similar cases, they will be looking into the judgment given by the Supreme Court. On the basis of the judgment given by the Supreme Court, the subordinate court also will be giving punishment. The second implication is that if a person commits a contempt of court, the court has the authority to punish him. No authority can deprive the court of this right. Contempt of the court means stop or disturb the procedure or the business of the court. So the business, suppose there is a trial is going on in the Supreme Court or in any court, or here we take the example of Supreme Court. If the trial is going on in the Supreme Court, by the time a person who is sitting at the back as an audience, or a person who is seeing the trial scene, so he is making disturbance by sitting there. Either he is shouting louder, or he is accusing, or he is blaming the judge, or the advocates, or the culprit, or whoever it is. He is making a disturbance in the court, and which will be a very big disturbance for the activities of the court. That's what is meant by contempt of the court. So if a person is making such suisions or mistakes in the court has got the authority to punish him. And once when the court is punishing a person for contempt of the court, no authority can deprive the court of this right. So these are the important factors related to judicial review. Court of record. So dear students, court of record means it is a court whose judgments are recorded for evidence and testimony. So by using this particular feature, the court can be more active and effective in providing proper judgments to the people. So the last point says that truly the Supreme Court acts as the guardian of the Constitution. So all these points which we have already studied in the different parts related to the Supreme Court, all these points are pointing towards the particular concept. The Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution. So dear students, I think you have got a very clear idea about what is meant by court of record. And these are the points which I would like to share with you related to this particular topic, court of record. And I think you are very clear about it. In the next class, we will be discussing about administrative and supervisory functions of the Supreme Court. And still we meet in the next class with the new topic. I would like to sign off. Thank you.